Tonight, keeping pets safe as freezing temperatures stick around.
Frostbite in this really bad weather outside can happen from 15 minutes.
What to know and what to expect with more snow on the way for Ottawa. Raising their voice and calling for change in Iran, nearly 1 month into widespread protests in the Middle Eastern nation.
We want the world to know that they are fighting against dictatorship in Iran.
Members of Ottawa's Iranian community march from Parliament Hill to City Hall as many struggle to get in touch with loved ones back home. And making the most of the winter weather.
I think that's the key to surviving the cold winter days, is finding things to do.
Searching for bites in the biting cold. Good evening. We begin tonight with the deep freeze that is gripping the region. A cold weather warning from Environment Canada has been lifted, but now the snow is falling and it's expected to continue to fall through tomorrow morning. CTV's Kimberly Johnson joins us live outside in the Byward Market. So Kimberly, how are you holding up?
Well, Austin, I am bundled up, and in this weather, you have to be. The snow is coming down out here. It started this afternoon, but the majority of the storm will move overnight, but it's that cold that will linger.
First comes the freeze, then comes the snow in the capital's latest storm.
It's pretty chilly. We woke up this morning with a notice on our Ecobee saying that our furnace wasn't working, but it just can't keep up with the cold.
I froze the moment I went outside.
Environment Canada has lifted its cold warning, but freezing temperatures are sticking around, and frostbite is a real risk. Pets are especially vulnerable.
Hypothermia, you see like the dog's going to be started shaking, uncomfortable, searching for heat, and then the end point is going to be like a frostbite.
This veterinarian says be careful when taking your dog out for a walk in deep cold temperatures. He advises to keep walks short, especially for smaller breeds.
Frostbite in this really bad weather outside can happen from 15 minutes to 2 hours. It depends on what kind of breed.
And after, be sure to wipe a dog's paws to remove salt.
And then the other thing, wearing boots is going to be a very good idea, especially as we mentioned, the frost bites most likely happen in extremities, which is most likely the ear tips, the paws, the nose.
Environment Canada has a warning in effect for snowfall, which is part of a wider storm coming up from the United States and could affect your morning commute.
You may see 10 to 20 centimeters of snow with winds that will be 20 gusting to 40 kilometers per hour.
The City of Ottawa has implemented a parking ban for Monday morning starting after 10 a.m. and Gatineau has one in place overnight. As for freezing cold temperatures,
this latest cold spell has been lasting about 7 days. It's got all this week to go, and I look next week and I see it there too. So it could be 3 weeks of below normal, well below normal freezing temperatures.
We've had a few hours of this light snowfall, but that's really expected to ramp up overnight. So because of that, Ottawa police are sending out a note to remind drivers to keep a safe distance on the roads, and also tomorrow morning especially, give yourself enough time to not just make the commute, but also clean off your car. Austin?
Okay, Kimberly, thank you very much for this, and thank you for braving the cold. CTV's Kimberly Johnson reporting live for us tonight. And as the snowfall starts to pick up here in Ottawa, Toronto is dealing with a real winter wallop, which means frustrating times for anyone traveling through Canada's biggest airport.
Well, I came in at 7 a.m. waiting for my flight. I look at that board and it said it canceled or delayed.
A wave of cancellations and hefty delays today at Toronto Pearson Airport, impacting thousands of travelers, including many here in Ottawa, given the ripple effects of this winter storm. Environment Canada expecting up to or above 50 centimeters of snow, 50, to accumulate in the GTA by the time it's all said and done. About 60% of the flights out of Toronto Pearson Airport have been cancelled. Nearly a dozen departures from the Ottawa International Airport have also been called off. And the winter storm hitting parts of Canada today is also making its way through south of the border. Heavy snowfall hitting eastern U.S. states has already left hundreds of thousands of people without power. Federal emergency disaster declarations are in place for states like South Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee, and Mississippi. This is on top of a state of emergency being declared in 20 states. The storm began on Friday, and for parts of the U.S., it is expected to continue until Monday afternoon. Thousands of flights south of the border as well have also been grounded. So, obviously, we're not seeing quite the hectic weather picture as some other parts near us here in southern Ontario and across the border in the United States, but we are expecting that snow to pick up tonight. Again, you heard in Kimberly's reporting just moments ago, 10 to 20 centimeters by the time it's all said and done. Minus 17 degrees right now, so still quite cold, and that is tonight's low. Snow across the region, a little bit lighter in Trenton and Kingston. We're expecting a low of minus 19 degrees in Gatineau. Heavy snow there at times as well, and then tomorrow's high, minus 13 degrees. So not as bad as what we've become accustomed to over the course of this weekend, but still quite cooler than seasonal averages. Demonstrators gathered on Parliament Hill today, braving the weather to show support for the people of Iran. This as protests against the Iranian regime have continued for nearly a month now. Many here in Canada are urging the federal government to take stronger action. CTV's Josh Morano joins us live in studio with more on this. So, Josh, what are these demonstrators calling for?
Well, Austin, demonstrators say this rally is about keeping international attention on Iran as reports of arrests, executions, and crackdowns on dissent continue. They're also calling on the Canadian government to increase pressure on Tehran by increasing sanctions and supporting international investigations. Hundreds gathering on Parliament Hill in minus 20-degree weather, waving flags and holding signs calling for freedom in Iran.
To increase the awareness of what's going on in Iran and being the voice of people in Iran and what has gone to them.
The rally comes as human rights groups report continued arrests and executions of activists and protesters in Iran.
They were asking for simple human rights, and unfortunately the government decided to kill them with a gun, with the weapons, and they did not have anything.
Families here say ongoing internet blackouts have made it difficult to reach loved ones back home.
Now it is just, some of the on and off, internet that's going through. We can communicate very short time, but no voice message.
The exact death toll is difficult to verify, but human rights groups and protesters here say it is in the tens of thousands.
The Ayatollah has already murdered over 43,000, blinded over 10,000, injured over 30,000 people. That is roughly 30% of Ottawa's population.
Protesters are calling on the Canadian government to increase sanctions and support international investigations.
Canada is #1 for human rights, and this is the time they really need to support Iran.
The rally follows rising tensions after U.S. President Donald Trump said warships were sent toward the region, prompting Iran's Revolutionary Guard to issue a warning that an attack of any kind would be treated as an act of all-out war.
It is unfortunate that they want to fight back. He's somebody coming for the peace and helping Iranians. It's the best decision he's making right now.
Demonstrators here in Ottawa marching through the streets to City Hall, still keeping up their calls for action.
They are gathering to support people in Iran for regime change. We want the world to know that people, they are fighting against dictatorship in Iran.
Demonstrators say protests will continue across the country until change is made, as they continue urging the federal government to press for accountability and human rights in Iran. Austin.
Okay, Josh, thank you very much for this. CTV's Josh Morano live for us tonight. And you can scan the QR code at the bottom of your screen to link to us online or visit ctvnewsottawa.ca. We do have more details on the protests in Iran. You can download the CTV News app right now. Again, just scan that QR code on your screen using your smartphone. We are learning more about a single vehicle crash that happened Friday night on Bank Street that claimed the life of a 24-year-old man. The Special Investigations Unit is now looking into the collision and says Ottawa police initially responded to the incident at 11:30 Friday night, but they did not locate anyone near the vehicle. Police then left the scene before an officer returned the next day. locating the man dead beneath the snow. A stretch of Bank Street between Boyd Road and Morningside Avenue was closed for much of Saturday. Would you buy a Chinese electric vehicle? Well, Premier Doug Ford recently called for a boycott of Chinese-made EVs, discouraging anyone from getting one as part of a Team Canada approach. CTV's Peter Sperling has reaction.
When it's time to trade in the Tesla, Elian Farhat may consider a Chinese-made electric vehicle.
Why not? Of course.
Canada will allow up to 49,000 EVs to be imported from China with a reduced tariff rate as part of a trade deal with that country.
The technology is now evolving, so who knows, maybe it's better. But yeah, it's a good option. Why not?
You know, maybe a few people might buy them, and I discourage anyone from buying a Chinese vehicle.
Premier Ford and Canada's auto industry leaders discouraging anyone from buying them.
But if they decide to do that, at what cost? Is it at the cost to your neighbor down the street that's working in the auto sector, that he's not going to have or she's not going to have a job? You got to look at more of a Team Canada approach.
But some feel differently.
With all due respect to the Premier, I think most people will ignore his guidance and they will buy what they perceive as being the best value for them.
The Electric Vehicle Council of Ottawa says it's about choice and affordability for car buyers.
They're going to choose a solution that works for them and that's a lot less expensive. So we expect, and we're seeing it in everywhere else, that the sales of EVs continue on expanding, and eventually they will dominate our roads.
Ottawa drivers, both electric and gas owners, have mixed opinions.
You know, you're going to put people out of work here, got to be thinking about it, and I think that a lot of people won't buy them for that very reason.
Probably, yeah, but they have to make these the charging less expensive too.
I wouldn't buy an electric car anyway.
It's like a freedom of speech. It's a freedom of choice. If you want to buy it, go buy it.
Probably not. I'm pretty happy with my Tesla right now. It's a pretty fun vehicle to drive, so I'll probably stick to it.
Sales of battery electric vehicles were down in the first 9 months of 2025 compared to the same time the year before. Peter Sperling, CTV News.
Despite this latest blast of winter weather, there is still plenty to do here in Ottawa. Some are bundling up and taking to the Rideau Canal for a skate. Others setting up shop on the ice for some fishing at the Petrie Island Marina. CTV's Camille Wilson was out at the marina today, and she joins us live with more. Camille.
Austin, winter can be long and the blues can drag on, but even when it's frigid, ice fishing is a popular sport during the cold season that helps lift the mood. While it may be too cold outside for some, it's perfect for others.
Tip-up system.
For more than a decade, this is what Alec DeLorme looks forward to every winter.
I think that's the key to surviving the cold winter days, is finding things to do.
Owning a hut at the Petrie Island Marina, DeLorme and his friends live for this.
We built our own hut, 6 of us, and here we are 11 years later. And we love fishing here now. We don't always catch fish.
The marina is home to more than 100 ice huts for families and friends to enjoy the joy of the cold season.
It kind of breaks up the monotony of wintertime. It's kind of our home away from home in the wintertime.
And the best way to spend a birthday for Dennis Bergeron with his buddy.
45 years. Today I'm 64 and I'm still fishing. It's my birthday.
Reg has been fishing for 60 years. It all started with his mom at the age of 5.
Before I went to school, we catch fish every day. Well, every 5-6 bites a day. Ice fishing, you get to a bite, you're lucky.
Everyone wants to get a big catch, but a small one will do.
The first fish that ever came out of this hut is hung up on the wall there. It's a tiny perch.
The Petrie Marina sits on the Ottawa River in Orleans, and safety is key.
The ice is, it needs to be thick enough. Right now it's 14 inches. We have professionals that comes and check it regularly if it's safe enough for a car or ATV or a snowmobile or even to be on foot.
Hut rentals start at $226. You will need to bring your Ontario fishing license and purchase some live minnows from the bait shop. For Bergeron, he has hopes to one day pass down his love for the sport.
I've got a grandson. He's only 3 years old. As he grows up, he's going to grow up for sure. I hope he enjoys the sport same as his grandpa.
While DeLorme hunts for his big winter catch.
In the winter, you'll catch pike as well. That's probably one of the ones that people look, forward to catching most here, and walleyes.
Camille Wilson, CTV News.
Casting a line down the fishing hole and hoping for the best, but not all the time it's a catch. But as Dennis told me, if you don't come, you don't have a chance to get it all. Austin.
Okay, Camille, thank you very much for this. CTV's Camille Wilson reporting live for us tonight. And for those that enjoy ice fishing, you're going to be loving this cold temperature. It is minus 18 degrees.
Under CUSMA that not to pursue free trade agreements with non-market economies without prior notification.
Still ahead, Prime Minister Mark Carney responds to Trump's threats for tariffs after his trip to China as MPs return to Ottawa for the 2026 sitting of Parliament. Welcome back, and a warning to viewers that some may find the video we are about to show graphic. Democrats are demanding that federal immigration officers leave Minnesota after a U.S. Border Patrol agent killed 37-year-old Alex Jeffrey Pretty in Minneapolis. We are only showing a portion of this video of the incident due to its graphic nature. Protesters clashed with federal agents at the scene of the shooting, according to officials. It is the second fatal shooting involving federal agents this month during a surge in immigration enforcement in the city.
What's the plan, Donald Trump? What is the plan? What do we need to do to get these federal agents out of our state? You thought fear, violence, and chaos is what you wanted from us, and you clearly underestimated the people of this state and nation. We are tired, but we're resolved. We're peaceful, but we'll never forget. We're angry, but we won't give up hope. And above all else, we are clearly unified.
Well, the family of Pretty released a statement yesterday saying they are heartbroken but also very angry. The family is also disputing claims that Pretty had been holding a gun when he was shot, saying lies told about their son by the administration are, quote, reprehensible and disgusting. And late last night into this morning, crowds of mourners gathered at a vigil to honor Pretty. Those grieving the loss vowing to stand together against what they are calling an occupation of their city by federal agents. This, as Minnesota's Attorney General says, state investigators were blocked from the scene despite a court order. He plans to go to court to seek an end to the immigration enforcement operation.
We took the action of suing the federal government over Operation Metro Surge. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to be in federal court with my team arguing for a restraining order against Operation Metro Surge. I filed this case almost 2 weeks ago, and this will be our first hearing. The lawsuit we filed is one that is caused by the unprecedented nature of this surge.
In other news, the first three-way peace talks between Russia, Ukraine, and the United States have ended in Abu Dhabi with no apparent breakthrough as fighting rages on. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky raised the possibility of another set of meetings next week, while an American official says new talks would begin at the start of February.
Progress is measured in terms of process. They're discussing with each other. They're sitting at the same table. They actually, all three delegations had lunch together. These are progress. This is progress. It takes time until they can get to the point where maybe they can make some kind of a compromise in terms of how they are going to deal with the territories and the security guarantees. But the fact that they are dialoguing and they are moving forward, this is measured sometimes in meters, not in kilometers.
And today, Zelensky says a U.S. document on security guarantees for Ukraine is ready, and Kyiv is waiting for a time and place for it to be signed. Zelensky reiterated today at a press conference that security guarantees are first and foremost guarantees of security from the United States. Government officials in Australia have ordered the cull of a pack of dingoes in response to the death of a Canadian woman on a coastal beach. A coroner's report suggests the young woman drowned, but her body exhibited bite marks from before and after her death, citing aggressive behavior. Queensland officials say the wild dogs are an unacceptable public safety risk, and they are to be euthanized humanely. The 2026 Parliamentary sitting starts tomorrow here in Ottawa, and the stakes are high for all political parties. From Prime Minister Mark Carney facing escalating tariff threats from U.S. President Donald Trump and his Liberals, 2 seats shy of a majority government, to the upcoming Conservative leadership test for Pierre Poilievre. CTV's Rachel Aiello breaks down what's on the line as MPs return to the Capitol.
Prime Minister, have you spoken to Donald Trump since he...
Prime Minister Mark Carney back on Parliament Hill today, under pressure over U.S. President Donald Trump's latest threats. The Americans now saying Canada could be hit with a 100% tariff if Carney makes a free trade deal with China.
If they go further, if we see that the Canadians are allowing the Chinese to dump goods.
A move the Prime Minister says he won't be making.
We have commitments under CUSMA that not to pursue free trade agreements with non-market economies without prior notification. We have no intention of doing that with China or any other non-market economy. What we've done with China is to rectify some issues.
That assurance didn't deter Trump, who has kept up his attacks on Truth Social, saying in one post that Canada is systematically destroying itself and that the China deal is a disaster, and in another, asserting that it was so sad to see it happen. With Monday the start of a new sitting.
There we are. Hey.
MPs are being advised not to let Trump's trade tirades sidetrack efforts to address affordability.
Don't get distracted. We just keep focused on what we're doing.
But heading back into the House of Commons 2 seats shy of a majority, the governing Liberals will need help to pass key pieces of legislation, proposing to tackle crime and boost economic growth.
We're going to continue working on those agendas, and obviously we want to attract the support of people who represent conservative ridings.
Pierre Poilievre, days away from a vote on his leadership, has pledged to help fast-track certain agenda items that align with his priorities.
The Prime Minister of this country and Pierre Poilievre, who aspires to be the Prime Minister of this country, needs to focus on the things that Canadians care about.
Speaking briefly to reporters today, Carney said he's hoping for cooperation, both from the other parties in Parliament as well as the premiers, who he's set to sit down with later this week. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
As fewer Canadians reach for alcoholic drinks, Canada's craft brewing industry is juggling threats of inflation, U.S. tariffs on aluminum, and decreasing sales. Though tough times are shuttering some, as Alison Banford explains, some breweries in the prairies are seeing a positive shift.
Taps are flowing at Regina's Rebellion Brewing, despite turbulent times over the last 5 years.
We've worked really hard, really diligently to get our business in order, to get our sales in order.
The pandemic, inflation, and changing consumer behavior set back Canada's craft beer industry. A report from Restaurants Canada shows 41% of Canadians reduced their alcohol consumption over the last year, citing health concerns, lifestyle changes, and money as the main drivers.
Consumers are going out less frequently, so you're seeing less beer sales in restaurants and bars and things like that, and craft breweries as well.
Canadian beer sales dropped 20% from 2019 to 2025.
It used to be you could just open your doors and sell a bunch of beer. That's just not the case anymore.
For the last 2 years, more Canadian breweries have closed than opened, a trend not seen in 15 years, according to beer educator Jason Foster. His stats show the total number of breweries dropped 2.9% in 2025, a gradual reduction he expects will continue for the next couple years.
The breweries that'll be left at the end of it, I think, will be stronger and the better for it.
Brewers say fluctuation is normal in any industry, and the taps aren't drying up. The latest numbers show craft beer sales are up year over year in Saskatchewan and Alberta. At Rebellion, sales have jumped for the last 6 months, and the Regina-based brewery is opening a new tap room in Saskatoon.
We're feeling really confident going into 2026.
And that's something he'll drink to. Alison Bamford, CTV News, Saskatoon.
A Montreal microbiologist has turned her microscopic artwork into a full-time job, gaining over 1 million followers on social media. And she wants people to better understand science by seeing it on a cellular level. CTV's Christine Long has that story.
Welcome to the microverse. Chloe Savard puts a sample of pond water from LaFontaine Park under the microscope.
microscopic world is filled with wonders and beauty, but it's also filled with stuff that is gross.
Under her ultra-magnified lens, bird feathers reveal a kaleidoscope of color, and different milks show off very different textures. Pairing her amazing images with carefully selected music, Savard wants her millions of social media followers to be curious about science.
Science needs to be mainstream, right? It needs to be accessible to everyone.
Her Tardigrade account is named after the microscopic organism tardigrade, the water bear, a tiny, admirable animal.
Because of its resilience, of its adaptability.
Savard has good reasons for showing the beauty of the natural world in miniature and how all living things are interconnected. Her work also shows how microplastics and pollution are entering these spaces.
I'm really passionate about the planet we're living on, and I'm really passionate about the fact that it's fragile, vulnerable, and I want to protect it.
A glimpse at the amazing things that live right beneath our feet.
I see the microscopic world it's like a gold mine.
Christine Long, CTV News.
Although consumers tried to adapt new products, in some cases it worked, in some cases it did not work.
Still ahead, how the Buy Canada movement is starting to lose some steam with high food prices at the grocery store.
Get the latest live local breaking news. Sign up now for our morning and evening CTV News Ottawa newsletter. The best local content from CTV News, Your Morning Ottawa, and News Talk 580 CFRA. Get it all in one place. Sign up now at ctvnewsottawa.ca. The CTV News Ottawa newsletter is brought to you in part by CAA Business.
There's a live look at some of the Ottawa roadways, some of the highways in and around our city. You can see the snow starting to build up. If you are on the roads, make sure you're driving with caution. It is Sunday evening, so we're not expecting a huge amount of people out on the roadways. But again, the snow is falling. You can see it building up. Conditions will be slick. As we take our first full look at the weather forecast, a pretty nice day to be on the canal if you don't care about the cold or if you're willing to wear 10 jackets. It was cold today again, and as I mentioned, it is snowing. So let's take a look at the weather forecast as we prepare for Winterlude. Preparations underway. You can see some of the ice sculptures here at Confederation Park looking very nice. It all gets underway on the 30th. So crews are, again, preparing, setting up fencing and making sure everything is ready to go for Winterlude. A lot of people looking forward to that, but maybe not looking forward to this. The satellite radar showing that snow making its way into the region, and we'll feel the brunt of that overnight, up to 20 centimeters of snow in some parts of our region. Out east, it's still quite cold, minus 18 degrees in Charlottetown, minus 16 in Fredericton, minus 15 in Halifax right now. We're currently sitting at minus 18 degrees. It is minus 12 in Toronto. If you missed the first bit of the show, parts of the GTA are expecting up to 50 centimeters of snow. Way more than us here in Ottawa, and the prairies are quite cold today as well. Minus 22 in Regina and Saskatoon. Well, I should say Saskatchewan is quite cold today because a warm-up is underway in Calgary. A real contrast from what they have seen over the past 48 hours. 2 degrees right there above the freezing mark, and it's only minus 7 in Edmonton with a mix of sun and cloud. 4 degrees and beautifully sunny in Vancouver. They sure are spoiled out there. Not the case here if you don't love the winter conditions. This evening getting down to minus 17 degrees actually, so a little bit warmer than where we are right now, but that snow building up and becoming heavy at times before we get to minus 13 degrees by tomorrow afternoon. Minus 14 in the Ottawa Valley. Lighter snow in the valley expected, but the snow is expected to be about the same along the Seaway as well, with the same high tomorrow of minus 13 degrees. As we take a look at the 7-day forecast, you can see that snow carrying over through Monday into Tuesday, 60% chance, and a high of minus 12 on Tuesday, a high of minus 9 on Wednesday. So after the 7-day forecast we gave you last night, it looks like things are expected to warm up slightly, but still quite cold, or at least seasonal. Well, as Canada responds to threats from the United States and its president, Donald Trump, consumers across the country continue to send a message with their wallets. While many have been boycotting travel to the U.S., it's not as easy to boycott American products in the grocery store. As food prices continue to rise, the Buy Canada movement has started to lose steam. CTV's Denise Roberts has more.
Even on a frigid January day, shoppers were out stocking up on groceries. For some of them, where the products come from matters.
We try to buy Canadian products as much as possible, whether it's, peanut butter or wine or beer.
There's actually products from everywhere around the world in the products that we buy from Canada too, which a lot of people don't realize.
We do try to buy Canadian and even more locally if we can. That's what we try, even before Trump and all that stuff.
Trump and his rhetoric toward Canada fueled a Boycott America movement that saw products removed from shelves and Canadian products put in their place. According to Ipsos Canada, patriotic purchases peaked in April at 65%, but by December, they fell to 46%. Agricultural economist Pascal Thériault says the decline comes down to price.
Although consumers tried to adopt new products, in some cases it worked, in some cases it did not work. But parallel to this, we saw quite an increase in food prices. And I think to a point, some consumers had to go back to their old habits of buying the cheapest food they had available.
He says U.S. products are usually cheaper because of their large processing sector, something Canada lacks. And he says interprovincial trade barriers contribute to high made-in-Canada prices.
We don't mention enough all the gains we could be making by increasing interprovincial trade.
As Trump is once again threatening Canada with tariffs and uncertainty over the future of the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade deal grows, grocery bills will remain high, according to food industry analyst Sylvain Charlebois.
Our forecast for 2026 is 4 to 6% for this year, and we're sticking to our forecast. So we are expecting a very difficult year for Canadians.
And that limits consumers' choices.
There is strong evidence that there is a boycott against American products, but it doesn't necessarily translate into more sales for Canadian products.
Or savings at the checkout line. Denise Roberts, CTV News.
We are going to be in a desperate situation, in my view, in terms of the housing crunch and the high unemployment rate we already have.
Still ahead, challenges gripping Canada's Arctic, how communities are suffering with high costs in the Northwest Territories. There's a live look through our Centennial Glass Skycam. It is currently minus 18 degrees. Well, in case you missed it this week, in the face of U.S. President Donald Trump's push to acquire Greenland, a new Canadian defense company setting up here in Ottawa says it has the technology to help defend Canada's north. CTV's Dylan Dyson reports.
Whether by sea, air, land, or ice, Dominion Dynamics says it has the technology to keep watch over Canada's Arctic.
What we're looking for are anomalies in the environment. So whether that's drones or balloons in the sky, whether that's submarines underwater or under ice.
It does this by building sensor systems that can be placed in remote locations, which relays information to military decision makers.
We have underinvested in the Arctic for about a generation or two. We have some sense of what's happening up there.
A new defense and tech company, Dominion Dynamics, is set to open operations in Canada in March at this 25,000 square foot facility.
The city has, tons of defense tech knowledgeable domain experts, and we were deliberative about setting up a factory here because of that.
The new company is opening as Ottawa-Gatineau looks to position itself as Canada's defense innovation hub.
We have amazing companies that have world firsts, companies like Dominion Dynamics and MDA Space and Telesat that are going to be speaking about technologies and solutions developed here by talent here.
On Wednesday, U.S. President Donald Trump persisted with his plan to take control of Greenland for the purposes of international safety, claiming it also oversees Canada's safety.
They should be grateful to us. Canada
Canada lives because of the United States.
Prime Minister Mark Carney suggesting Tuesday that Canada has the means to protect itself.
We're doubling our defense spending by the end of this decade, and we're doing so in ways that build our domestic industries.
The city of Ottawa could be on the technological front lines should that day come.
We are going to increase the readiness of our forces. We are going to lean in and we are going to build our economy. We are going to lean in and protect our sovereignty. That's the Arctic sovereignty.
In many ways, I think, Trump is saying something that most Canadians have known. We need to have more independence.
Dylan Dyson, CTV News.
Well, the frigid winter conditions of so far north add to the unaffordability crisis in Canada's Arctic. As the federal government looks to establish more of a presence there, the region needs to be more accessible, and housing is already a challenge. CTV's Heather Wright is in the Northwest Territories with a look at what people there are facing.
But this thing burns 24/7.
So far this year, Terry Douglas says she's gone through 2.5 cords of wood, roughly 2,000 pieces. And January isn't even over.
Well, it gets very dry in here, So
her home in Bachoco, about an hour's drive from Yellowknife, doesn't have a furnace. This wood stove is all that heats the house.
I guess the mold must be inside the wall, so you can see it up there.
And like many homes in the community, it's in need of repair. There's mold in the bathroom, a broken window, and a sinking foundation, which means everything tilts a little bit to the right.
Well, all you need to do is drive around town and you can see. You can listen to what people are saying and drive around and see how many houses are boarded up.
We spoke to more than a dozen people here today. Some have been homeless for months. Others have been waiting years for basic repairs to their public housing units. One woman says she has to keep her belongings in bins because her walls are infested with worms.
A 2024 report from the Bureau of Statistics found 36% of homes here in Bachoco were not adequate for living. That is the highest across the entire Northwest Territories.
But few people here wanted to speak on camera for fear that complaining would get their request pushed further down the long list.
We are in desperate need of new housing in Bachoco.
Bachoco's chief says her community is not alone. The housing crisis across the Arctic is widespread and urgent. And it's exacerbated by the high cost of living and challenges with addiction and mental health. Bertha Rebeska-Zoe wants to see more funding earmarked for smaller communities to help with the housing crisis.
We are going to be in a desperate situation, in my view, in terms of the housing crunch and the high unemployment rate we already have. And people just can't afford to fix their homes. They can't.
Both Yukon and the Northwest Territories have seen their populations decline over the last several years, with people moving to other parts of the country. Experts say a key component of Arctic security is investing in communities here to ensure they grow rather than shrink.
Heather Wright, CTV News.
Zetterlund working low, looking for the pass in front. They score! Zetterlund from below the goal line.
Still ahead, the Sens are on the ice. They're taking on the Vegas Golden Knights as we speak. We will check in on the game right after the break. In tonight's Big Picture, we take a look at a rare phenomenon in northern Germany. There are crowds gathered there to watch icebergs making their way across a river. Ice blocks, look at those. They've been forming and washing up all along the Elbe River banks in the past week, giving thousands of visitors a spectacle to watch and to climb on top of for some. All of this from icebreakers clearing the river to make way for ships. And turning now to some of the other stories that you need to know. To help us do this, we bring in CTV's Natalie Van Roy. Natalie.
Well, thanks, Austin. Today is Robbie Burns Day, but here in Ottawa, celebration kicked off a bit early, getting underway last night. Highland dance, bagpipes, and drums at the Robert Burns Supper in Cayley. The Night of Heritage, hosted by the Scottish Society of Ottawa, and the sold-out dinner featured the pipes and drums of the Cameron Highlanders of Ottawa and Highland dancers from the Real Ottawa Dance Company. Robert Burns is famous as Scotland's historic national poet.
Zetterlund working low, looking for the pass in front. They score! Zetterlund from below the goal line.
The Sens are on the ice this hour, facing off with the Vegas Golden Knights at home. Fabian Zetterlund getting that first goal in the first period. And the Sens starting this game off strong. The current score 4-0 at the end of the second period. Also tonight, Linus Ullmark returning to the lineup, serving as backup for the first time since taking a personal leave of absence for mental health reasons on December 28th.
Chris Anderson across, here's a chance, scores!
And last night, the Sens coming off a loss against the Carolina Hurricanes. It was a tough game on home ice for Ottawa, but Tim Stützle getting that the only goal for the Sens. The final score 4-1 for the Hurricanes.
Gildart gets it no further, bouncing puck, here's a chance, Whitehead scores! Nick Whitehead!
The Ottawa 67s on the ice this afternoon, facing off with the Saginaw Spirit. Nick Whitehead getting that goal 4 minutes into the first period. And it was a great game for Ottawa. The final score 6-0 for the 67s. The Barber Poles are also coming off a win on Saturday, beating the Oshawa Generals 4-3. Ottawa is back on the ice next Friday at home to face the Peterborough Petes. Puck drop is 7 p.m. And as we get ready for another snowfall, it's important to know that a winter weather parking ban will be in effect on Monday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. You won't be allowed to park on city streets in order to allow city crews to plow the streets. So if you do park during the ban, you could be ticketed and towed. And meanwhile, on-street monthly parking permit holders are exempt when they are parked in residential parking permit zones. And we are going to be expecting that snow coming pretty soon, Austin.
Yeah, I know it's been falling lightly for a little while here, but really ramping up over the course of the night. And I know those parking bans can be frustrating, but obviously they're very important. For anyone that is on the roads for work, thank you for everything you do. All the drivers, delivery drivers, Uber drivers, taxi drivers, thank you. Still ahead, a terrifying and impressive sight as a free solo climber scales the tallest tower in Taiwan. There's a live look through our Centennial Glass Skycam. It is minus 18 degrees.
The National Capital Region is jam-packed with incredible experiences you don't want to miss. Hey, I'm Sanaya Taylor, your iHeartRadio Weekender, powered by Barrhaven Ford. Get the inside scoop on all the biggest and best events every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday on CTV, Move 100, Pure Country 94, TSN 1200, and News Talk 580 CFRA. iHeartRadio Weekenders is powered by Barrhaven Ford, Ottawa's newest and largest Ford dealership, and Ontario's #1 Ford EV dealer.
Hairstyles, courtesy of Salon Fiorella.
Here's a recap of the top local stories we're following right now.
Wearing boots is going to be a very good idea, especially as we mentioned, the frost bites most likely happen in the extremities.
Keeping pets safe as the cold weather sets in, and we expect up to 20 centimeters of snow. Members of Ottawa's Iranian community marched from Parliament Hill to City Hall in solidarity with their friends and family nearly 1 month after protests first broke out in the Middle Eastern nation.
We like coming out here because it kind of breaks up the monotony of wintertime.
And making the most of winter, ice fishing is a very popular pastime at Petrie Island as people flock to the hot fishing spot on a freezing weekend. Speaking of freezing weekends, it's going to warm up a bit, but it's still going to be freezing, minus 17 degrees when we wake up, so only a really one temperature swing, and then getting to a daytime high of minus 13. The warmest day of the next 7 will come on Sunday, minus 8. But yeah, winter-like conditions. And again, I mentioned 10 to 20 centimeters of snow depending on where you are in the city by the time this latest snowfall is done, and a 60% chance of flurries on Tuesday, 40% chance on Wednesday. Get those brushes and shovels ready, folks. We're not out of the woods just yet. Time now to check in to see what our news team is working on for tonight. Natalie.
Well, thanks, Austin. We are on that storm watch tonight as the heavy snow makes its way to the nation's capital, impacting the Monday morning commute. Now, this is a system that's going right across Ontario, first dumping up to 50 centimeters or more of snow on the Greater Toronto area, canceling hundreds of flights and throwing a major wrench on all forms of travel and transportation. And back home in Ottawa, we can expect up to 20 centimeters by tomorrow afternoon. with that parking ban to start the day. Now, you can get the news anytime, anywhere at ctvnewsottawa.ca. And join me tonight for CTV News at 11:30.
Thank you, Natalie. And finally for us tonight, this is a story. It's absolutely incredible. An incredible climb in Taiwan.
A free solo climber has scaled Taipei's 101 tower.
So this is something, I mean, we were talking about this. This makes my palms sweaty, even just seeing him up there. Look at this. This is American Alex Honnold, and he's on top of the tower, 500 meters. You just saw it there, or 1,667 feet above the Taiwanese capital. And he got there in just over 90 minutes. No rope, no harness, no net to catch him. Just absolute courage. And the whole thing was live streamed on Netflix. Good night.